guarded. I'm saying you may continue, but you have to be guarded.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I was on the point that the Continental Free Trade has a national office, and that national office has already started doing some good work. The honorable member made mention of 3 key areas that have challenges. 1 is the policy harmonization, 2, capacity building, and 3, infrastructure development. I am aware that in the issue of capacity building, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority and Ghana Export and Import Bank, Exim Bank, have coordinated with the national office to be able to train almost 3,162 of our Ghanaian SMEs. With that, almost 75 companies already have signed on as the have been able to register to have country of origin. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of infrastructure, I am of the firm belief that to facilitate the continental free trade, one has to have a trade facilitation in the areas of the sea, of air, and land. As I speak to you now, Ghana do not have a carrier to be able to facilitate trade between us and other countries. This challenge, if it's resolved by the current administration, will help facilitate trade. Again, in the sub-region, there is a problem now to export or ship anything between the African countries, either from Ghana to Nigeria or to East Africa. Mr. Speaker, it will be helpful that the government of Ghana will invest in the area of sea by providing ships between us and other countries to facilitate trade on the sea. On the land, I am aware that there are road construction that are going on currently trade on the West Africa trade border. I am also aware that we are developing a railway on the eastern coast between us and Burkina Faso. These are the ingredients that will help in the infrastructure that will promote the continental free trade that has over 1.3 billion of consumers or of population, and that will contribute to about 3.5 billion of goods and services. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes, let me come to the Minister Designate for Education.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. As I rise to comment on the statement ably made by the Member of Parliament for Medina, the Honorable Francis Xavier Sosu, on leadership in ensuring the full implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, AFTA. Mr. Speaker, whilst commending him to note that with some disappointment, Africa trades more with the rest of the world than with Africa. That is a statistical fact, that many African countries are happy doing trade and business with the rest of the world than with other African countries. Mr. Speaker, it is estimated that today trade in Africa is $192 billion US, a rise of about 7.26%, and this was captured in an ECA report. Mr. Speaker, part of the problem of poor trade is bad governance. It's only in Africa you still note and observe unconstitutional changes in government that does not give assurance to businesses and to investors. Our persistent poverty remains a major problem. Then, Mr. Speaker, Africa trade. just between Ghana and Nigeria here, Nigeria has what they call restricted products from Ghana which can enter Nigeria. We can't export those products into Nigeria. Yet they can. You can use the example of Dangote cement. It's in Ghana. Do we have our own cement factory in Nigeria? What is the possibility? So we need to do more, and that is why I agree with the maker of the statement that we need to build robust infrastructure. But that will require investment. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, whilst commending the maker of the statement, I can state on authority that one of the early decisions President Mahama will take will be a major revision of the GIPC Act, the Ghana Investment Promotion Council Act, to make it more business-friendly, more investor-friendly, and to meet his aspirations of running Ghana under a 24-hour economy in order that he can attract more foreign direct investment into our country. Mr. Speaker, as he stated in a paragraph, an honorable Sosu, next time you learn, we can't get, your pages are not numbered, so next time make sure they are numbered. So, Mr. Speaker, I will labor referring you to the page and to the paragraph, but I'm sure it's in his second page. He talks about 54 African states, which has a population of 1-2 billion. That is how much gain we can make if we were to trade more. Look at cocoa. Its processing in Ghana and in Africa, what the value would be if we were to do value addition to our major export product. Mr. Speaker, how many flights? I heard him talking about aviation. How many flights do we have between Accra and Lagos or Abuja? Probably 1 or 2. And you are talking of African trade. It's only carrying passengers, not goods. Not goods, passengers. They are interested in some 1-2 hour flight from Abuja, Lagos to Nigeria. That is trade. But we should be talking of volumes. Mr. Speaker, I know my colleague who in his previous role housed AFTEC, the former chief executive of Ghana Exim, and he would note with satisfaction some of the good initiatives the previous NDC government did. The Ghana Exim Bank remains the only financial institution which does not depend on savings from customers. Because what we cleverly did, Mr. Speaker, was to charge 0.5% of CIF value. Mr. Speaker, I'm here to discuss it with the President. Even for the Women's Bank, we should be looking at that option. How do we finance a Women's Bank? The development bank we have in Ghana today, what is its state? So probably for the Women's Bank, we may want to take 0.25% dedicated to support our women who are in need of credit. We should be able to do that. So, and proudly, Mr. Speaker, I conclude. Whilst commending President Mahama and President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we should also commend the late Professor J.E.A. Mills. I recall at the time in January 2012, I was in Ethiopia with him and with Alan Chirimantin then. I think he was playing some role at the African Union, and he guided some of our processes in getting Ghana to insist that the Organization of African Union, the AU, takes a major resolution on that. Mr. Speaker, what Africa needs is trade and investment. It's unfortunate that Ghana beyond 8, we could not walk the talk. With this, I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, let me give it to Honorable Member for Bosmo Freho. Then I come to former Deputy Trade Minister. Bosmo Freho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'm giving you the opportunity for the first time.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I would like to commend my brother Xavier, Honorable Member for Medina constituency, for making such a statement. Mr. Speaker, before I comment on this statement, I would like to also commend some few and key personalities of Ghana who contributed greatly to ensuring that we have AFTA. Particularly to mention is Mr. Kwesi Kotey, the Deputy Commissioner of the African Union. Mr. Speaker, as a young man working in African Union as at that time, I noticed the key role he played in ensuring that Ghana win that bid to host AFTA, which has been one of the monumental achievements of the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo administration. Speaker, from records, it's clear that the World Bank is envisaging about $450 billion growth in this area, in this AFTA. Minister Designate for Education mentioned the potential growth we are looking at in AFTA. Speaker, they went ahead to also mention that it is going to create a possible job for about 30 million African young men and women. Speaker, how do Ghana tend to benefit from this very huge, lucrative industry that we have set up, that we are hosting? Speaker, one, as he mentioned in his statement, harmonizing policies. Speaker, it is very important that for us to make maximum benefit of this after we are hosting. The Speaker, the 1D1F policy from the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government must be looked at again and empowered and strengthened. The Speaker, like example, we have one of the largest cabbage growing areas in my constituency, Bosome. Speaker, I am urging the NDC government to come and build a cabbage processing plant in Bosome so we can manufacture the cabbage and export to African countries or other places so we can make money and also employ some of the young men and women in Bosome. Then maybe the 24 hours economy can also have some rippling effect there. The Speaker, having said this, there are some few challenges that is confronting the AFTA, which is clear. One, the Speaker, is conflict around the African area. The Minister Designate mentioned some key issues that are among them is conflict. The Speaker, we are seeing the conflict in Burkina Faso. We are seeing the conflict in Niger and other African countries, which is a key major issue that will hinder the development or the progress or the gains AFTA is capable of making. Mr. Speaker, another thing we must look at is infrastructure. The former Exim Bank CEO mentioned some development or some projects that the SWAL administration did in ensuring that there is possible infrastructure, because the Speaker, to trade in Africa is movement. It's a human movement. I mean, road, and all that. I will urge the government coming, I will urge the NDC government, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that all those projects that have been started be continued, so that the AFTA will make maximum impact of every benefit that we have. Mr. Speaker, the last one I would mention is the slow adaptation of technology. Mr. Speaker, the last time we were talking about the e-gate at the airport. Mr. Speaker, it is one of the major issues which major African countries are even having challenges adopting. Even to adopt the whole AFTA, it took many African countries not to even do. Why? Because they are having challenges.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Charles Bawadua. I'm the member for Bongo. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to comment on the statement made by the Honorable Member for Medina. Mr. Speaker, I'm doing so on the authority of Order 93, Rules 4 and 5 of the Standing Orders of this House. Mr. Speaker, it appears to me that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is one of those numerous treaties that African countries enter into and do not, in fact, intend to implement to their letter. The statement so made by the Honorable Member shows clearly that there appears not to be enough efforts by African countries to ensure the full implementation of the agreement. Mr. Speaker, The benefits available to Ghana and Africa in general upon the full implementation of the agreement are enormous. Mr. Speaker, we're talking of investment that will increase in many parts of Africa and Ghana in particular if the bottlenecks associated with investments in many countries are ironed out, which is envisaged in the agreement signed by the African countries. Mr. Speaker, we talk also of trade, better jobs, and in better jobs, I'm not talking just about the number of jobs that Ghanaians and Africans stand to enjoy, but also the quality of those jobs. Mr. Speaker, in the manifesto of the NDC, which led to a massive victory by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, one of the key policies therein is the 24-hour economy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure that many of the youth of this country were influenced by the impact of the 24-hour economy that they stand to enjoy, and hence the way the youth voted. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy will work effectively upon the full implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Mr. Speaker, it will bring in foreign investors. It will bring in foreign companies who will establish in this country, thereby opening up the job market. Many youth will get jobs. And so I want to commend the Honorable Sesu for making this statement before the floor of this Parliament. And I want to urge the Honorable Ministers designate for Trade and also the Minister designate for Foreign Affairs to work hard to ensure that the agreement is fully implemented, not just in Ghana, but urge other countries to do so, so that we can enjoy the full effect of the agreement. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Safeji, you spoke well, nobody interrupted. And you wanted to interrupt, you are fresher.
Mr. Speaker, I was coming on a point of order.
Anyway, so honorable members, we are taking one more from each side, then we take the other statement. We have other equally important statements. So let me go to former Deputy Minister for Trade.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I rise to make a comment on a statement made by Honorable Susu. I guess this statement is a very important one for the simple reason that the African Continental Free Trade Area has come to stay, whether we like it or not. I have said it time and time again that this is a concept that has come to stay and we cannot do anything about it. The good news about this concept is that the African Continental Free Trade has become the biggest customs union in the world. It used to be the ACP Customs Union, but now it has taken over as the biggest customs union in the world. And for the records, out of the 55 African countries in Africa, 54 have signed the agreement and 46 have ratified the agreement, which means that it is going very well. The focus areas of this concept is in the area of agriculture, automotive industry, pharmaceutical industry, and logistics. Mr. Speaker, the African Continental Free Trade Area is an opportunity for Africans for the first time to explore Africa so well and trade amongst ourselves to be able to generate good things from this concept. There are a lot of good opportunities available in the concept in the area of the automotive industry. Ghana has taken a very good advantage of this great opportunity by moving well in our industrial sector, especially the automotive industrial sector. As I'm talking to you now, Ghana has 7 different assemblies operating in Ghana. They are operating 7 different vehicle assembly businesses in Ghana. Out of this, they are producing about 12 different brands of vehicles, which means that Ghana is ready to move to other parts of Africa to do business. I want to entreat Africa that this is a huge opportunity for us, especially not only for SMEs and those in the trade sector, but those in the industrial sector, that they should take advantage of this opportunity. I'm talking about the African Continental Free Trade Area, to get a lot of benefits, because the benefits inherent in this policy is enormous. And I guess it is time for Africa to take its rightful place in the world of, and we sitting down aloof without doing anything about it. That's how come I said that it's an opportunity for us. I have also said somewhere on a lighter note, that it's an opportunity for Africans to explore and exploit ourselves well, gain all the benefits from trading amongst ourselves. And so I see this statement by Honorable Sasu as a very important statement at this particular time. And I want to entreat every business person or any business person who is seriously into business and want to explore other countries to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity called African Continental Free Trade. With these few words, Speaker, I thank you for attention.
Thank you very much. You take the last person from leadership. Do you want to contribute? Let me give the freshman who is up on his feet. Is it Yo-Yo? Yo-Yo, let's hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is Alasan Sulemana, the MP for Yo-Yo. With regards to the subject matter, Yo-Yo is one of the border towns, and I'm very sure that Yo-Yo, some of us, we move out of the country to do our farming, and then even bringing back the goods or the crops to your homes becomes a problem. And we also have even your animals crossing to Togo. When you go out of your country, maybe to Togo to bring them back, it becomes a serious matter. And I think this free trade would allow us to move freely without any restrictions. So I support the Honorable MP Sasu for us to work hard to make sure that this comes to reality, so that we don't just speak here and then we leave it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Yo-Yo. Yes, leadership. Yes, minority leadership.
Speaker, I thank you for the treasure space. Let me commend my good friend, the Honorable Member for Medina, finding the need to present this statement to the House floor. Speaker, commentaries on the statement is encouraging, and it puts matters in proper context. The Honorable Ajensen, the Honorable Asafo J, and the Honorable Haruna Idrisu have spoken well to the statement, and other colleagues that I cannot exhaust. So there are a few things I find fundamental when we are talking about trade. It comes to me as an irony that even in the face of the Mediterranean Sea, serving as a fiscal gap between Africa and Europe. Other trade standards that are very repressive, fair trade standard, Eurogap standard, yet Africa finds a way to trade more with our brothers in Europe than ourselves. And for me, that is the fundamental issue that has to be dealt with. Speaker, the AFTA is the biggest trade agreement after WTO. However, many years down the line, we are still talking in terms of a narrative which is focused more on boardroom discussions. Boardroom discussions. To be able to practicalize this, get Africans to sign on to this huge trade agreement that we have to leverage on is still a matter that is still in discussion. Tariffs, which often have constituted a barrier, trade barrier, is still staring at us in our faces. Africa has the youngest, Speaker, data proves that we have the youngest population globally. And so we have no excuse for whatsoever. We have passed all the legislation. In the past decade, one can do a casual analysis of legislations that we have passed that are sensitive to trade and the enhancement of trade. The fair trade concept, the free zone concept, the economic zone concept, yet we appear to be moving in cycles as a country and also as a continent. So I think we have to change our mindset. We must change our mindset, and that is what can really matter and facilitate the very trade that we are looking for. Globally, we are seen as the producers of raw materials. And so until we change our mindset, all the trade agreements will be meaningless unless we change our mindset. We have to change our mindset as a continent. How come that we have all the raw materials? How come we have the biggest, arguably the biggest number of minerals, and yet we wallow in poverty, abject poverty, and still at where we are. I hope when my colleague, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, was contributing to the statement, he observed all the key personalities who have contributed to these agreements across the political divide. I want to plead with our colleagues in the NDC administration particularly. It's very revealing that this statement is coming from one of your own on your side. The NPP has set the tone. I'm not being partisan here. We set the tone. We ensure that the Secretariat was won. We are hosting the Secretariat. We have set the tone. Let it be said that one day, if you are out of power, you will add on to this agreement, and this agreement will be more meaningful, not only to Ghana, but across the frontiers of Africa. So, continue where we've left off, and let's leave a legacy that one day Africa can be proud of. On that note, I want to commend my good friend, Honorable Sosu. The President, in his acceptance speech, made a very interesting comment. Ghana belongs to a number of international bodies, and then he mentioned there is a new emerging global body called the BRICS. The President has said that Ghana, he will take concrete steps for Ghana to join the BRICS. I found that very interesting. And if it is the case, we will be waiting that the President, in the fullness of time, will give us full details on this matter. The BRICS today, globally, are commanding a lot of respect, both in trade and other diplomatic and bilateral and multilateral exchanges. We hope that decision will be made and the dividends will come to benefit not just Ghana, but our neighbors, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, and other sister countries who live in the West Africa region. Speaker, I thank you for the space granted. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much, my majority leadership. Will you say something or should move on?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much for the opportunity to make a contribution to the statement made by my able friend, Honorable Susu, the MP for the good people of Medina. Mr. Speaker, the statement made today is actually one of the most important statements that has been made in this House, for the simple reason that the Continental Africa Free Trade, as leader rightly said, is actually the largest free trade area in the world today in terms of population size, in terms of geographic size, and actually in terms of member states. 54 African countries are involved in this. Mr. Speaker, if we get ourselves involved properly, especially since we have the headquarters here, we should be leading the African Continental Free Trade. Many a times we sign an agreement, but we don't put in place the preparation that we need to be able to benefit from this agreement. AGOA comes to mind. We have signed AGOA for almost about 20 years, but you can't actually give a tangible, result that we've got from that. So we shouldn't make a mistake with this one, because this can get us out of a lot of, serious problems that we have in this country. As many contributors, including the incoming education minister said, it is usually, Mr. Speaker, that we do sign all these agreements, but we don't put the preparatory work in place. And we keep signing this agreement, and other countries take advantage of us because they make the preparation. If you look at the rush with which we ratified this agreement, and look at how others took their time to do it, because they were putting things in place to make sure that they take a full advantage of it. We have we have a secretariat now, as you rightly said. Government is a continuous process. You have a secretariat now. Now what we need to do is to be able to do the proper coordination and the implementation of this African Continental Free Trade, so we can take advantage of it. We are now involved in a pilot project, but what are the plans after this pilot project to be able to take full advantage of it? We trade very little with ourselves as a continent. Most of our businesses are done in Europe, but we don't do much with ourselves. So we need to be able to ask ourselves questions and find out the reasons why we have these challenges or these bottlenecks to be able to take advantage of this African Continental Free Trade. Recently, they have introduced a payment system which basically allows one country to be able to import from the other without necessarily going through dollars and foreign currencies. This, if it continues, will help us to be able to stabilize our currencies so that the depreciation that we are experiencing at the moment can actually be reduced. So hopefully we will take a full advantage of it. And I should thank the maker of the statement for this fantastic statement on the African Continental Free Trade, which will become, or African countries will all be engulfed in this, at least for the next decade. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Let me now turn to Honorable Francis Asenso-Boakye. Incidentally, when he finishes his statement, we will invite Honorable Anthony Meir to also read his statement. It's almost similar, so that we do the contribution together. So, Honorable former Minister for Roads and Highways.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to address this August House on a matter of utmost national importance, the issue of post-election violence and its far-reaching consequence on our democracy and our socio-economic development. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has, over the past 3 decades, distinguished itself as a beacon of democracy in Africa, conducting 9 peaceful elections under the Fourth Republic. Our legacy of peaceful transitions, adherence to the rule of law, and protection of civil liberties has rightly earned us a place of pride in the global community. To bolster this democratic tradition, the Presidential Transition Act 2012 Act 845 provides a framework for orderly transitions of power. The 2024 transition, Mr. Speaker, adhered to these provisions admirably with commendable cooperation between the outgone and the new administrations. Against this background, Mr. Speaker, there can be no justification for acts of hooliganism, lawlessness, and unauthorized takeovers of public offices witnessed in recent weeks. The post-election violence we have witnessed, including arson, vandalism, physical assault, unlawful takeovers of state agencies, and attacks on security personnel, poses a grave threat to the peace and stability of our nation. These reprehensible acts, reportedly perpetrated by individuals allegedly affiliated with the governing party, seriously undermine our democratic progress and must be condemned in the strongest terms. Mr. Speaker, allow me to provide a few specific examples to illustrate the gravity of the situation. In the Ayesu-Ano constituency, Mr. Speaker, the satisfied supporters of the ruling party set the office of the Electoral Commission ablaze. Again, in some state institutions, including the Ghana National Gas Company, the Bui Power Authority, National Petroleum Authority, and the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority, among others, were unlawfully invaded, and some public servants being forcefully removed from their offices. Mr. Speaker, in my own constituency of Bantama, on January 8, 2025, some known operatives of the governing party, led by the constituency executive, stormed public institutions, including the National Health Insurance Authority and the National Disaster Management Organization, forcefully ejecting staff and locking up their premises. Just last week, Mr. Speaker, a group of individuals unlawfully targeted the Metro Mass Transit Yard in Bantama, demanding control over its assets, including internally generated funds. Such actions not only disrupt governance, but also threaten the livelihoods of affected staff and the local economy. Mr. Speaker, the instances are many, and I believe colleague members have heard similar instances of politically motivated disturbances after the December elections, including in constituencies such as Dome-Kwabenya, Ablekumanov, Okakwe Central, Tema Central, Techiman South, in Sawam, Obuasi East, Ahafoano North, and Ahafoano Southwest. What remains uncertain is when these incidents will end to restore safety of our citizens and ensure uninterrupted business activities and bolster investor confidence. These are most unfortunate and must not be encouraged, regardless of the background of its perpetrators. The recent tragic incident in Obuasi, where some individuals wielding locally manufactured rifles, pump-action guns, knives, cutlasses, axes, and machetes intruded the premises of the Anglo Gold Ashanti mine, is widely attributed to post-election violence. This unfortunately led to the burning of vehicles belonging to the private entities and individuals, as well as damages to other private assets. Mr. Speaker, these exchanges with security personnel on duty led to the unfortunate demise of some individuals, with many severely injured. It is deeply troubling that these unlawful activities continue unabated despite the President's recent public admonition. There appeared to be the lack of decisive and immediate action against the perpetrators of these crimes, which creates the impression of tolerance for lawlessness, eroding public trust in our institutions and our rule of law. While at late, Mr. Speaker, may I take the opportunity to caution our friends in the media, crucial players in our democratic process, to be circumspect in their commentaries and reportage that could fuel unlawful behavior before, during, and after elections. I therefore call on the leadership of the National Media Commission, the Ghana Journalists Association, to take decisive steps to bring members found culpable to book. Leadership demands not only rhetoric, but also decisive action. It is imperative that the government moves beyond mere condemnation to ensure that all culprits, regardless of their political affiliation, face full force of the law. Mr. Speaker, this failure in leadership has resulted in other incidents across the nation, including those that occurred just yesterday in the Bole Bamboy constituency and Ho Central constituency, which should be a significant concern for every well-meaning Ghanaian. Honorable Speaker, to safeguard our democracy and deter future occurrence of such unacceptable acts, I urge this House to consider a review of our legislative framework to impose stricter penalties and punitive measures on those who engage in unlawful conduct, including beneficiaries of their actions. Such measures will reaffirm our commitment to the rule of law and protect the integrity of our democratic process. Furthermore, I call on all stakeholders, including security agencies, civil society organizations, traditional authorities, the media, and more importantly, political leaders, to work collaboratively in addressing these menace. We owe it to the Ghanaian people to uphold the values of peace, unity, and good governance. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's democratic credentials are hard-earned, and we must not allow actions of the few to tarnish our reputation as a model of democracy in Africa. Let us act now decisively to restore order, reinforce public confidence in our institutions, and ensure that Ghana remains a shining example of good governance on our continent. To the brave young men and women out there, please do not let yourself to be used by any politician or political party to commit acts that would jeopardize your future. You deserve so much more than being a tool for distraction. Think of the dreams you hold, the goals you have set, and the brighter future that lies ahead of you. Don't throw it all away for anyone's selfish agenda. Honorable Speaker, with these few remarks, I leave this esteemed House to deliberate further, trusting in the collective wisdom of the House to guide us towards a resolution that upholds the principle we cherish and serves the greater good of all. I thank you for your attention and commend this matter to your thoughtful consideration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, considering the interest on this statement, leadership we have discussed, and if we could take 4 each, and then leadership to conclude, because the interest on this statement is so.
Very well. I said I'm going to collaborate this statement with that one of Honorable Anthony Mie. So, Honorable Member for Odotobri, you may also read yours so that we discuss it together.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for granting me the opportunity to address this House on an issue that strikes at the very heart of our democracy and national development, the disturbing trend of post-election vandalism and the imperative to hold the rule of law. Mr. Speaker, elections represent a sacred process in our democracy, a process through which the people of Ghana express their will and elect leaders to steer the affairs of our nation. It is a manifestation of the sovereignty of the people and the cornerstone of our constitutional framework. However, it is with great concern and disappointment that I highlight the unfortunate acts of violence and vandalism that have, over the time, marred the post-election period in our country. Mr. Speaker, the acts of vandalism and lawlessness often carried out by individuals or groups who feel aggrieved by election outcomes pose a serious threat to our democracy and social stability. From the destruction of public and private property to physical assaults on individuals, these incidents not only leave a trail of pain and loss, but also undermine the progress we have made as a democratic nation. We must remember that democracy is not just about casting votes. It is about respecting the process and accepting the outcomes, whether favorable or not. In a democratic system, disagreement is natural, but resorting to violence or destruction is not acceptable. Such actions do not resolve disputes, but rather exacerbate tension, deepen divisions, and jeopardize the peace and unity of our nation. Mr. Speaker, let us consider the far-reaching impacts of post-election vandalism, the physical damage to public infrastructure, such as offices of the Electoral Commission, places an undue burden on our already stretched national resources. For every building destroyed and property damaged, there are funds that have to be redirected from critical developmental projects to repair or rebuild. This is a cost our nation cannot afford, especially in these challenging economic times. Furthermore, the psychological impact on victims of these acts of vandalism cannot be overlooked. Citizens who lose their businesses, homes, or loved ones to such lawless behavior carry emotional scars that may never heal. We must also recognize the broader damage to our collective psyche as a nation. Every act of vandalism chips away at the trust citizens place in our democratic institutions and processes. Mr. Speaker, beyond the internal consequences, we must also consider how these incidents affect Ghana's image in the global stage. Ghana has long been lauded as a beacon of democracy and stability in Africa. However, these recent acts of post-election violence risk tarnishing that reputation and diminishing our standing as a model for other nations. We must not allow this to happen. Mr. Speaker, the rule of law is a bedrock of any functioning democracy. It ensures that all citizens, regardless of status or political affiliation, are subject to the same laws and held accountable for their actions. It is therefore imperative that we apply the law decisively and impartially to address the acts of post-election vandalism. Law enforcement agencies must be empowered and supported to investigate and prosecute individuals and groups responsible for these offenses. Mr. Speaker, impunity breeds further lawlessness. If perpetrators of vandalism are allowed to go unpunished, it sends a dangerous and wrong signal that such behavior is acceptable, emboldening others to follow suit. This vicious cycle must also be broken. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, it is important that the enforcement of the law is seen to be fair and impartial. Allegations of selective justice only serves to deepen mistrust in our institutions. Let us ensure that justice is served without fear or favor and that it is seen to be done. Mr. Speaker, whilst enforcement of the law is crucial, we must also recognize the role of political leadership in addressing this issue. Political parties and their leaders have a moral and civic duty to ensure that their supporters act responsibly and within the bounds of the law. Leadership, Mr. Speaker, is not just about winning elections. It is about setting right examples and fostering a culture of respect for democratic principles and processes. I urge all political leaders to take proactive steps to educate their supporters on the importance of peace and tolerance. They must condemn acts of vandalism in the strongest terms and demonstrate a commitment to resolving disputes through legal and peaceful means. This House, representative of the people, must also lead by example, demonstrate unity in condemning violence and upholding the principles of democracy. Mr. Speaker, democracy is a collective effort and every citizen has a role to play in strengthening it. As citizens, we must embrace the idea that disagreement is a natural part of democratic life, but such disagreements must be expressed through lawful and constructive means. Ghana's constitution provides clear avenues for addressing electoral disputes, and these must be utilized instead of resorting to violence and destruction. I also call on civil society organizations, the media, faith-based organizations to continue their effort in promoting civic education and fostering dialogue. By educating citizens on their rights and responsibilities and by providing platform for constructive engagement, we can reduce the incidence of post-election violence and build a more peaceful society. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, let us reflect on the words of our national anthem. I quote, "And help us to resist oppressors' rule with all our might forevermore." These words remind us of our collective responsibility to uphold the rule of law and protect the values of democracy that our fathers fought for so hard to achieve. Let us commit as a nation to reject all forms of post-election violence and vandalism. let us work together, lawmakers, political leaders, citizens, and institutions alike, to build a Ghana where disputes are resolved through dialogue and due process, and where peace and stability are cherished above all else. Mr. Speaker, Ghana stands at a crossroad. The path we choose will determine the legacy we leave for future generations. Let us choose the path of peace, unity, and respect for the rule of law. I am very grateful.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, we have two statements and the contents are almost the same. So, yes, let me begin with Honorable former Deputy Minister for Defense.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the statement made by my two colleagues, the Honorable MP for Bantima and Bosome Ofreho. Mr. Speaker, Ghana indeed.
I don't think it's Bosome Ofreho, it's Odotobri.
Odotobri, sorry, Odotobri. Mr. Speaker, Ghana indeed is a beacon of democracy. We have gone through elections many times, and Ghana has had changes in its leadership many times. Ghana is a country of laws, and we are governed indeed by laws. We in this House are representatives of the people out there. And so, Mr. Speaker, it is important that when issues of vandalism, issues of arson, issues of unlawful attack on government facilities and individuals begin to rear its ugly head, it's important that members in this House take interest and try as much as possible to nip all these activities in the bud. The Honorable Member for Bantima made a lot of, or said, or gave to this House a lot of institutions which have come under attack. The sad thing, Mr. Speaker, is not just about government institutions alone, but even individuals being attacked. Mr. Speaker, I have lived it as a member of parliament for the good people of Achimakwangoma. Achimakwangoma, which used to be a very peaceful constituency, saw a very nasty incident not too long ago, where we had the chairman of the NDC and the youth organizer attacking the residence of the coordinating director of the Achimakwangoma Municipal Assembly. Their claim was that certain items were hidden in the residence of the coordinating director and that the coordinating director was going to sell them. An allegation which was false. That did not end there, Mr. Speaker. They moved to my house. What were they looking for? Fertilizer, which was non-existent. Mr. Speaker, what even saddened my heart the more was the involvement and the action of the district commander of police. Very sad. He sat on the fence, never cared. Even when I called him, he did not show interest in the matter at all. People from the side of the MPP had wanted to mobilize to, as it were, face my brothers and sisters from the other side. Mr. Speaker, this obviously would have not ended very well. And a constituency that is known to be peaceful would have been in the news for the bad reasons. Mr. Speaker, it is so unfortunate that people will resort to attacking businesses, all in the name of we are hungry, we want food. It is so unfortunate. His Excellency the President, in his inaugural speech, says something which for me was very important, that Ghana is ready for business. Mr. Speaker, we cannot attack the businesses we already have and then expect to attract new ones to come in. It doesn't work like that. And so what happened in Obuasi, for me, is something that we should be worried about as a country. Our government is in power, and so we can do whatever we want. This is not the Ghana our forefathers left us. This is not the Ghana we seek to build. This is not the Ghana that all of us can be proud of. Mr. Speaker, my fear is that if we do not act and act decisively, a time will come when the youth out there will march to this august chamber, all because they are hungry. I believe there are members in this house who are equally hungry. We cannot hide under hunger and involve or commit illegalities. That is not Ghana. And so I believe it is important that we take interest in the statement made by our two colleagues. Work to ensure that we nip this in the bud. His Excellency the President has issued an instruction that investigations be done. Mr. Speaker, it is about time that we name and shame. It is about time that we expose all those behind these activities. And so, Mr. Speaker, I will humbly call on His Excellency the President to rather institute a commission of inquiry, a commission whose proceedings will be aired live on air. If we are able to do that, those who are behind all these things will be exposed. My fear again, Mr. Speaker, is that suddenly the Ghanaian has become so courageous, so bold, that even our security agencies, who we go to and seek their support to protect us day and night, we suddenly have become so courageous and we attack them without even looking back. We've seen people trying to take guns from soldiers. Mr. Speaker, this is unacceptable. Growing up, I never knew that a civilian could be so courageous to want to take a gun from a soldier. This is really sad. If we treat soldiers like that, how do we expect them to protect us when we need them? I believe that a commission of inquiry, Mr. Speaker, will bring the truth to the fore. And I believe and I have confidence in the professionalism of the Ghanaian soldier. The soldier will not go out there to just be a gun freak and, as it were, shoot people indiscriminately. No. What happened in Obuasi is unacceptable, and Mr. Speaker, I believe that we must have a commission of inquiry to establish the truth therein. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I have personally enjoyed his delivery by the time, so I will urge you to be snappy so that we can make time for other things. We've already spent 2 hours on statement, but like I quoted earlier on, if you go to our standing orders 94, we are supposed to use just 1 hour for statements. So I'm extending it, but please be snappy when you get the chance to speak. So let me begin from my brother. Since you are a first timer, you mention your name and your constituency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. My name is Thomas Walanyo Chepo, Hohwe, constituency. I would like to also associate myself with the statement made by the MP, Honorable MP for Bantama, and then Odotobri. Mr. Speaker, myself, I'm a victim of political violence and vandalism. In 2020, I was a regional youth organizer for the Bono region. Before then, the entire Boronhafo. We saw a lot of violence, vandalism of public properties, and a lot. In Techiman, we go to Doma West. I believe we have the Doma West camping here. That was where I was slapped. You go to Ayawaso, the by-election. All this happened in the previous administration. So I would have wished this statement came earlier than this. I know if it had been like that, we wouldn't have been witnessing what we are witnessing in the country today. There was an invasion of a court in Kumasi because of the actions and the comments of some political players. It encouraged a lot of people, a lot of youth, to do more than others did. I believe if we, the political players, take action, stand on our ground, punish one or two people, others will be scared to do same or attempt to do similar when the opportunity comes on their table. The Kumasi invasion, the Kumasi court invasion, for instance, when you hear comments from some of the regional chairmen, it is not worth hearing, Mr. Speaker. The fines given to them, a judge who was molested, who was beaten, dragged out of the courtroom, the fines that were given to these people, 1,500 to go and pay. There and there, the regional chairman paid the fines. That encouraged others. Yes, we also have the tape, Mr. Speaker. All these things happen without comment from the former majority, without comment from the presidency. Mr. Speaker, 4 people died in Techiman. Up to date, our former president, who was then the president, no comment came from him up to date. All this, Mr. Speaker, encouraged. All this, Mr. Speaker, encourage others to do. Because
Honorable members, please, this is a comment. If you begin to come by way of point of order, I can tell you. So he will just conclude. You get the opportunity to speak. Or if you will still insist, let me hear you. Honorable member, hold on. Yes, member for Menchia South.
I stand on order 92, 93, 93.5. 93.5. Keep quiet. Mr. Speaker has my time. Mr. Speaker, a member may comment on the statement for a period not exceeding 5 minutes, and the comment shall not provoke debate. Mr. Speaker, what he's doing is clearly provoking a debate, because it is going to compel us. Yes. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record. He is traveling in a very dangerous waters. We have no choice but to respond to him. So, Mr. Speaker, very respectful, especially where some of the things he's saying cannot be substantiated or proven. Mr. Speaker, very respectfully, this is my humble submission.
Honorable members, please, like he said, I'm not saying retract anything, but let's, because this thing going on, it affects everybody. It's affecting our democracy. So please, let's discuss it dispassionately. I know it has not just happened, it has happened before, but please let us be candid and discuss it in such a way that it will send a very good message out there for whatever is going on to stop. So let's discuss it with this thing in mind. Please, let's conclude from your contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To conclude, as I've earlier said, I'm a victim, and I know how it feels to go through this. That is why I'm very passionate about it. But what I'm trying to conclude with is the political players sometimes are behind, not by ordering them to do what they've been doing, but their posture. An example was what I was giving. The president, who never commented on the Ayawaso West Wagon shooting, the Tichima killings, the Doma, Obuasi, and no, not not Obuasi. Obuasi, the president issued a statement. Obuasi, the president issued a statement. But, Mr. Speaker, all I would like to end with is to thank President Mahama for being bold and directing the IGP to investigate, to investigate all what happened in 2020, so that the perpetrators will be punished. Mr. Speaker, this is the only way. This is the only way that will send a signal to those who want to do same in the future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh.
Let me come to Honorable Mustafa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement eloquently made by the MP for Bantama, Honorable Asensu Boachi, and also the Honorable Member for Odotobri on the disturbing security situation in our country post-election 2024. Mr. Speaker, thanks to His Excellency the President of the Republic, the former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the 2024 election was conducted under conducive atmosphere of peace, leading to the declaration of President John Dramani Mahama as the winner. Prior to the official declaration of President Mahama as the winner, our former Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, graciously conceded defeat and called on his main opponent, President Mahama, and conceded. This remarkable move by the former Vice President explained that it was to avert any tension and also to cement the peaceful electoral process, which has received commendation from international organizations, global leaders, and also civil societies organizations. However, Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding all these peaceful overtures and peaceful transfer of power, Ghana continued to be threatened by some violent supporters of the NDC across the country. These hooligans have unleashed unrestrained mayhem on public institutions, innocent Ghanaians, chasing them out of their offices in many instances. For example, Mr. Speaker, in my own constituency, Yagaba Kubal constituency, some miscreants attack the district assembly office, lock up the place, and sack all the staff from the assembly. Mr. Speaker, just yesterday, some NDC youth, violence youth, invaded my house. Invaded my house.
You were born
there. I was born in Burma Camp. Then there were clinics. Now I think there's still clinics. Their main hospital will be 37 Military Hospital. Thank you.
At what point did you become a member of the NDC party?
I was probably here when it was born. I was probably here when NDC was born. I recall that as a child, well, as a young woman.
Honorable colleague, please answer the question. At what point did you become a member of the National Democratic Party? Congress. National Democratic Congress. Correct.
Mr. Chairman, grant me this 1 minute to say that I cannot give you the exact date. Probably when I got the card, it will be on the card. But indeed, I was here serving in various capacities as a young cadre before the NDC was born. So I just transitioned into it. But my card will have a certain date, which I do not recall. Thank you, Chairman.
In other words, you've at all material times been a member of the party?
I would say yes.
Very well. At what point did you develop this interest in becoming a legislator for your area?
I would say that honestly, it will be around the time that I heard the Honorable Fifi Fiavikwete, who is my predecessor, indicates that he wasn't going to contest again. Prior to that, I don't recall that it crossed my mind. Thank you.
What was the specific inspiration to get you to become a member of parliament?
There will be probably a couple of them. One that comes to mind quickly would be that I had an NGO called Values for Life. Now VFL Ghana is defunct sort of now. And I used to take money from my family to do the work that Values for Life was doing. And when my late husband was retiring, he told me this is the kind of thing MPs do. Go and do it so that you can have the wherewithal because I'm retiring. I think that was one of the key points. The other one being that in the southern part of the Volta region, 9 constituencies, no woman from these communities has ever been in this chamber. So I thought that being a cultural advocate and a women's advocate, that I set the example myself and dare to break that ceiling, to give opportunities for other women to also do that. Thank you.
Our revered guests, I will repeat. Let's listen to the nominee in silence. I beg you, with all due respect.
So you've indicated to us that Honorable Fifi Kwete's exit was the immediate thing that triggered your interest in coming into this legislative, assembly, this parliament. And you've also indicated that your late husband encouraged you to get into this, for want of a better word, this enterprise. You were using your own money to do the NGO with the family funds and all that. And then the fact that there were no women on record to have participated in the legislative politics of the southern belt of the Volta. So now that you are in, apart from you, is there any other woman from the Volta who has also been nominated for ministerial appointment?
Mr. Chairman, for now, there's only 2 of us. We were 4 when I came to Parliament. 2 lost their seats and 1 maintained hers. And out of the 2, I'm the one who's, for now, has been nominated. Thank you.
Who is the other one, please?
My senior, Honorable Joycelyn Tete. Thank you.
Now, let me ask you, in total, Volta region, how many NDC MPs are you?
There's 18 of us. Thank you.
18. And of the 18, how many of you have been nominated for ministerial appointments? Apart from the regional minister?
Three. Three. My colleagues, three.
Apart from you, who are the other two, please?
Honorable Okujetua Blakwa and Honorable Abuja. Thank you.
Now, you know the state of the roads in Volta region, and you are going to manage the tourism ministry. First of all, to what extent do you think that the state of the roads will affect the tourism potential?
Honorable Chair, I think that infrastructure in this sector is the most important thing to drive tourism. And I would say that it plays the roads to the facilities, if fixed, will really increase the revenue that we get from tourism. So it is very, very important that we have the roads that lead to our sectors.
So let me move away from the hypothetical space I'm in and come straight to a practical situation. Are the roads that bad to the extent that they would affect tourism potential in the region?
Which region, please?
I'm referring to the Volta region. The subject matter here, we are staying a bit in the Volta.
Just for clarity, that's all I ask. Thank you. So that, amongst other things, will be important to drive tourism in the Volta region. Yes, thank you.
Would you therefore assure the people of the Volta region that you will work together with the roads minister to ensure that key roads are constructed to enable the full tourism potential of the Volta region to be realized? Do you assure the nation of this?
Chairman, it gives me great pleasure to have you vet me today in your capacities as seniors in this chamber who have experience that I do not have. In the past 4 years, if there's anybody that I'm able to speak with on matters relating to my role as a member of parliament and where I'm going now, that person will be Honorable Apanyama King. I will be relying on your support to approach the Minister for Roads to assist me because, no, to be fair, the whole country will be lobbying the same minister. It would be useful if you assist me, and I know that with the relationship that the both of you have, if you stood by me, I will get those rules fixed. I'm not putting you on the spot. This is how I feel about the answer I'm giving you. I will do that, but I don't think that my voice alone can go that far. I will be relying on you. That's all I'm trying to say. Thank you very much. Chairman, if I may, and I don't want to offend the leader of the minority, but he must admit that he's been very helpful since I've been here in the last 4 years. You know that. Now it's public. So I'll be lobbying you to help me with this roads thing. Thank you very much.
Chairman, the nominee is right in saying so. Leader of government business and leader of the house, my job was to inspire the young ones, provide them with comfort, see to their welfare, and ensure that their happiness in the chamber materially depended on my generosity and benevolence. That duty I discharged, and all who know me know me. On this occasion, and on this occasion only, I am seeking to know from you, at the policy level, you know, truth be told, I can lobby, but you are in government. There's no denial about that. You and Abuja will serve in cabinet. I've been in cabinet, and I can tell you, I don't know how the Mahama cabinet would be, but in the Akufo-Addo cabinet, it was pound for pound, that you really have to be firm and defend and lobby and get your colleague minister to get along with you. That I know. It's a reason why I am anchoring my question on the fact that you coming from the Volta region and conceding that the roads in Volta are bad and that would affect the tourism potential, you necessarily would need to get the buy-in of the Minister for Roads and Highways. And it's that assurance to actually get to him that I want you to give to the nation, because you are tourism. If we don't get it done, they will say you have failed. I don't want you to fail. So what assurance have you to the nation that you will be on the Roads and Highways Minister to ensure that he fixed that the roads in the Volta region are fixed? Assure the nation.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm not sure that the incoming Minister for Roads himself is not aware of the situation in our region. And I know the passion with which he comes to do everything. I will push as hard as I can to ensure that he gives attention to especially the roads that lead to the tourist destinations, because really they will bring the investment back. If the roads to these destinations are fixed, it will increase trips there, and he will get the benefit. So I will go and endeavor that I lobby as hard as I can. And as a former Deputy Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, I had opportunity to enter cabinet.
Enough. It is enough. You've answered the point.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sure. Don't go too much. Let's stay in the circles of the question, so your people don't say I've kept you too long. Now, you will agree with me that the beaches of Volta have serious tidal wave challenges. You know that. You agree with me? Let's be honest. Are there sun-winning activities along the beaches? Be honest with me.
I do not have any proof to give you that there's sand winning going on at the beaches in Ketu South. I have proof of sand winning in other communities in Ketu South, but not at the beaches.
Would you be surprised to hear that indeed sun-winning activities occur during the wee hours of the night.
Very possible.
Very well. Do you think that if these are true, it contributes to the escalating situation they find themselves when the waves get out of hand?
I'm not sure that I see the linkage, but if that's your suggestion, I'll accept and pursue it going forward.
Very well. So I would hold that question because you intend to pursue. I would want you to pursue it and engage the people on this situation, because yes, the tidal waves come, but sun, if there is, would worsen the situation. I know we have some research works that have been published on talking about these things, and I would want you to pursue it. You know, check it. These are researches conducted by renowned professors who are also Voltaireans. They are on the net, and you can check it. University of Ghana, these are publications out there, so that you educate our people, because that will also help save investment. You know, people are investing heavily along the coast of Volta. You are aware? Please answer into the mic, please.
Yes, I do.
You are aware?
Yes.
And therefore, if as a result of sun winning, our investment are at risk, then you as a member of parliament, together with your colleagues, can play a role, especially when you are going into the tourism industry.
Yes.
Now, I'm a private businessman, and my friends who visit me in Ghana often tell me that it's too expensive to be in hotel rooms in Ghana. And I think this is a point that my respected colleague Yabuama had earlier asked you to express a view on. They also tell me about the cost of our visa. The cost of our visa. At one point, a business friend in Spain told me why he spent holidays in Morocco rather than Ghana. And he said, well, the visa, whatever the application process and everything, hotel tickets for 1 week was costing him about 660 euros. Whereas if he had elected to be in Ghana, it was going to cost him perhaps 4 or 5 times more. First, what would you do to address the visa situation, the cost of visa? At least for now, for African countries, they don't need to apply for Ghanaian visas as a result of the President Akufo-Addo's, was it an executive instrument? Yeah. Yeah, well, he gave a directive. I've not pursued the legal bit of it, but at least President Akufo-Addo made that declaration. So those from the European countries, the Americas, and countries outside of Africa, what would you do to see to this situation? Because it's really affecting tourism in Ghana.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with you that the regime, the visa regime, indeed affects travel. But I will have to engage with the Minister for Foreign Affairs to be able to see the best way forward. I will make a strong case for its impact on the sector and how collaborating properly could help us increase revenue as far as travel and tourism is concerned. But I hesitate to say what I can do as Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts when you give me the nod, because it is not our strength. So I will be collaborating with my colleague nominee, if you pass him, for us to take a good look at that. Thank you.
Chairman.
I recognize Patrick Boma on a supplementary.
That's a very good answer, Jifa. I think that directive requires parliamentary ratification under Article 75. So you just have to collaborate with Honorable Ablakwa, should he get the nod. Thank you.
Thank you.
You mean the foreign minister designate?
The member for North Tong.
Okay.
And the foreign minister designate.
Okay.
Should he get the nod? Should he?
Anyway, so let's get back to business. When you were campaigning as a member of Parliament for election, when you were campaigning to be elected as a member of Parliament, what really did you tell the constituents?
Chairman, is this in reference to 2024, 2019? Which one, please?
Very well. Let's limit it to the 2024 elections.
Thank you. Chairman, I told them to look at the work that I've done in opposition in 4 years, and also to
What I'm asking you is that, what did you forget about work done? That should they vote for you, what would you do for them? They are listening to you. I want to know too.
Yes, and I said that they should assess me with what I had done and give me the opportunity to build on it. And they agreed with me and
Okay,
gave
so
me...
what then did you tell them that you were going to do for them, should they vote for you in the 2024 elections?
Thank you, Chairman. So I see that I have huge numbers where the youth are concerned. And all they're looking for are opportunities to be able to earn a living, to get an education, and to live in a safe environment. And so over the 4 years, I've been giving them opportunities to learn skills. I've been assisting them to get an education. And I've been creating opportunities for them to look outside and think outside the box. That if, for example, my parents were teachers before my dad went into the army, whatever your parent did, you don't have to look at only that, but there are other opportunities. And I share experiences of other people from the constituency who have done very well as a form of role modeling and mentoring. I think so far that has been my strength in empowering the community to take charge over their lives by engaging in skills that they'll be proud of. And it's worked for me. Thank you.
Are you troubled by the extent of youth unemployment in your constituency?
Yes, I am.
How do you intend to address it with your government in office, with this 24-hour economy mantra?
So in 2020, my party, the NDC, had in its manifesto the need to engage in entrepreneurship and skills development. And even though the party itself was not in power, I started that. It's in our manifesto again, and I intend to pursue it even more vigorously. Additionally, I will, put my ear to the ground and see areas in which opportunities may avail and ensure that they are not left out of the sharing of the national cake. Thank you.
So, Now you are in office. The youth are very impatient all over, and you can't blame them for their impatience. They need jobs. How would you react to a request by your constituency executives that, come what may, all employment in your sector should have at least 10% from your constituency? How would you react to a request of that by your constituency executives that they come listing all the sectors in your ministry and tell you that every recruitment give 10% to your constituency? How would you react to them?
Thank you, Chairman. I suppose that they are a part of the population that we have, and it's fair for them to demand their fair share of the national cake and opportunities that avail. It has to be done equitably, that everybody who is a youth, when the opportunities come, gets or takes advantage of it. So I suppose that's the best way to answer your question. Thank you.
Now, you are 18 in Parliament. So far, only 3 of you have made it to the president list. Would you agree with me that the remaining 15 you will now have to share their burden with them?
Yes.
So, in sharing their burden, it means that there are constituency problems. Because you are a minister, you will be privileged. So you will help them in resources, correct?
Chairman, I'll learn how to cross that bridge when I get to it. But I'll be tapping in the experience of those who have gone before me and see how they did it so that I model my steps according to what they have done. Thank you.
Let's come to the mainstream. What has brought you here? What is the tourism policy of your party? What is the tourism policy of your party?
Chairman, the policy is to make tourism, culture, and creative arts a driving force that harnesses the resources of our country, manages it, promotes it, and give it the energy to bring in the required results in terms of revenue. It seeks to employ culture, creative arts to accelerate the benefits of tourism. We have indicated that there's going to be a revamping of the sector. And the beginning of it will be to see how we align properly all the laws that revolve or work for the sector. Some are overlapping now, and so we have to look at that. But the policy will be generally to contribute to the GDP to the best of our ability. We have tabled the Black Star experience as one of the policy areas to see how we can make tourism, as I said before, take center stage in the ministry.
Do you have your NDC manifesto with you?
I have the abridged version.
The bit on tourism.
Yes, I'm here.
Were you part of the preparation of the tourism policy?
I was a part of the, sorry.
Honestly, were you part of? If you were not part of it, I won't proceed on that. But if you were, I can, because I have very critical questions to ask. I will spare you. If you were not part of the preparation of the policy, just tell me. I will stay off it. I'm being very honest with you, and I'm not going to surprise you.
And my honest answer is that I was a member of the committee. I did not have enough opportunity to attend meetings, but I'm on the page with them, so I followed up on that. Thank you.
So you did not play an active role in putting this, in the enactment of this policy? You did not?
I will agree.
So you would agree with me that it is your first time of having an interface with this policy of your party, now in government?
That I will not agree to. Because as I said,
explain. Why?
As I said, we have a page. We've met a couple of times with the committee, and I'm on the page with them. So everything, every task that is given, the reports are on the page, so I read it, so it's not new to me.
So now you have the policy with you, right?
Yes.
Okay, turn to the aspects of the policy on creative arts, specifically, creative arts. Share with us what the creative art industry should expect from this government.
Mr. Chairman, the page that is here is page 67, and it's very brief, if you permit me to read it. Do I have your permission?
Please do.
So, the next NDC government will create and promote the Black Star Experience as Ghana's flagship culture, arts and tourism brand to make Ghana a preferred tourism destination. The Black Star Experience will undertake a year-round celebration in all the major entertainment, artistic, and educational disciplines. This will include the celebration of the following: the Pan-African Month, celebrating heritage, history, and diaspora engagement, the Ghana Film Festival and Awards Month, Ghana Music World, Culinary Month, Architecture, Design, Arts and Crafts, Fashion and Textiles Month, Literacy, Literally Month. We will also support young digital content creators in developing content that promotes Ghanaian culture, revive the Creative Arts Fund to provide sustainable financial support for startups and the ailing large, medium, and large-scale, medium and small creative enterprises.
Okay, let's stay there. Let's stay there. So, back to it. Revive the Creative Art Fund to provide sustainable financial support for startups and for ailing large, medium, and small creative enterprises. So let's stay on sustainable, to provide sustainable financial support. How does your party seek to achieve this? How does it intend to achieve this, now that you are going to be the main implementer of the policy?
So, from the experience of the NDC when we were in government under, shall I say, President John Dramani Mahama I, we had a fund for the sector. I think that to sustain it, domains will have to assess the fund and make it a revolving one. So whatever you want to champion with the fund that you assess, you should be able to make it have a turnover that is returned for other people to come and also benefit from it.
Good. You see, Honorable, this is an important thing that I want us to take note. You realize that a lot of times these supports come as a social intervention support, and people take it, access it, and will not want to pay back. If you want to pursue, they will remind you of their votes. Let's face reality. Are you sure that practically you can get people to pay back? Are you sure?
I think that we can work at it. Do we have opportunity to recover everything? Probably not, but we could try, because it's the same with, the financial sector. People borrow money from the banks. Do they always pay? They don't always pay, but some do pay. So we have to put in mechanisms that encourage people to return it and probably get reward for that. So I'm sure that the examples abound in other sectors that we can learn from. How do the banks do it? We can pick from that and leave out of their books and make it work in our case. Thank you.
So this fund, this creative art fund that you are going to revive, how would you fund it? Would you your government promising a repeal of the e-levy? Now this fund would have to be funded. Going there with the benefits of the manifesto, how is it going to be funded?
Mr. Chairman, I think that the history is there that funding for sectors don't always come from GOG only. It is the reason why we sought to ratify some conventions from UNESCO, so that it gives us opportunity to tap into the resources that they have as well. So it's not necessarily just GOG. Chances are you're very resourceful. Chances are even you can say that you'll take a certain part of our domains and support us with funding, which can be used. But I'll hesitate to agree with that is capable of funding, giving us funding for this project. So we are open to the experiences that we have garnered over the years to see how.
Honorable nominee, you see, there are many creative arts listening, okay? Fund that you are going to revive.
Same reason that I would plead with you not to ask me to give you a time frame, because you and I know that our youth are hungry, and when you're not careful, when you make promises that you are not sure of, you set yourself up for failure. What I can assure the youth of this country is that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has indicated his desire to create opportunities for them to thrive, and in so doing, help us build a strong economy for our country. I will put my shoulders to the wheel and assist him to achieve that. Thank you.
See, Honorable, at this point, most respectfully, is about policy implementation. No rhetorics, no talk. They are to know when the Creative Arts Fund will now be accessible, they would want to know even how much startups they will get and all. So to generalize would not be doing justice to the issue. I would want you to consider
I can go forward and be guarded in promises that I make on this platform. I'm sure that the opportunities will arise when we are sworn in and I take office, that I come back to the committee or on the floor for us to address these issues, but I will not be making promises that I cannot keep. I do not know what's in the kitty. So based on what will I make such promises? So I would plead with Chair to let this slide. Because I do not have any promise to make, because
NBSSI. You know about it. I want to find out from you whether rely on that agency to support the creative art industry pending the introduction of this your
if it's something that you are sure of and sharing that information with me, I'll gladly go and pursue that. But I do not know the
you official obligation of the minister. So I'll walk the fine line.
Agreement after. Mr. Speaker, on 7th December 2024, Ghanaians went to the polls to vote to reset the nation. On 7 January